nothing like
were half naked and you were hugging her. I would have never gotten married to you. I have seen this before the wedding.
Oh no, not this again. Not the whole strip club incident. I thought they'd got past this. Well, it turns out that whatever it is that Jasmine has just seen has her now questioning her entire relationship with Gino.
You never look at me that way. You never made me feel desire. You never compliment me that way.
Now, before we dive into Jasmine's hysterics and Gino's hilarious response, let's just rewind back to the start. So, the last time we saw the pair was supposedly on the happiest day of their lives. They'd just got married. So, surely they should now be in their honeymoon period, right? They should be enjoying post-wedding bliss. Well, no. Because with Jasmine and Gino, nothing is ever that simple.
We're finally married. It feels so good to be married to my Gino. We have overcome certain problems, but we have now new problems.
Jasmine thinks that Gino isn't being honest with her about something, but she's not yet ready to explain herself. She says that sometimes love isn't enough, and that's something we're going to come back to later on. But the question is Gino aware that Jasmine's ready to pounce on him?
Nothing's ever perfect with Jasmine and I. When I come to a tell-out with her, it's like me versus her. So it's gonna be pretty intense today, but I'm ready to defend myself, so don't with me.
Isn't it funny how while most couples come into the tell-all thinking that they're going to have to defend their relationship against the judgment of others, Gino, by comparison, is walking in bracing himself to go head-to-head with his own wife. And so it all begins, because as the tell-all starts, Sean tries to ease them in gently. She begins by asking them how married life has treated them so far.
I am trying my best.
Well, it's been, it's a little bit of a roller coaster, but overall it's been really good.
Is it just me, or was that answer far from convincing? Reading between the lines, it very much sounds like Jasmine's blow-ups have continued. That despite her numerous promises to try and get a grip of her emotions. But the thing is with these two, so many of their fights and their problems could be totally eliminated if they just learnt to communicate with each other properly. And so, on that theme, Sean directs the conversation back to the whole wedding dress butt implant debacle.
You know where my wedding dress is right now? At the basement on a plastic bag getting dust. Where is my ass right now?
So, even though Jasmine obviously feels like she can now joke about it, her answer clearly shows that she still doesn't fully understand the issue behind what she did. Like, it's not about the butt implants. It's about the fact that she lied to Gino about where the money went. And worse of all, it's about the fact that she lied about getting money from her ex to pay for it all.
The only thing that I regret is that I wish I have gotten bigger implants. It just needs a little bit of more volume, you know.
Please, Jasmine, no more butt implants. They don't need to put any more in there. But just take a look at Gino's reaction. He's certainly not laughing along with his wife, is he? So is he still dwelling on the past? Or is he thinking hard about Jasmine's answer? Because when Sean asks him if he feels that Jasmine needs bigger implants, his answer is surprising to say the least.
Gino, do you think she got the right size?
I like bigger.
Clearly.
He's an ass.
I like big booty.
Look, the confusing thing here is that Gino has on multiple occasions stated that he doesn't think that Jasmine needs to alter her body the way that she does. Like, he's literally told her before that she doesn't need to get plastic surgery because he thinks she's perfect the way she is. So we always assumed that Jasmine was getting the work done because she wanted to. But that now raises the question, has Gino been influencing her thought process more than we first imagined?
How much were the implants total?
$10,000 in Panama City.
Okay, here we go. Now we're getting to the good stuff. So we know that Jasmine took the $4,000 that Gino gave her, supposedly for her wedding dress. She combined that with $4,000 of her own, and then went to her ex Dane for a further $2,000. So Sean now wants to know whether or not Gino has forgiven Jasmine for all the betrayal and deceit. Has he forgiven her for spending the money on her butt? Has he forgiven her for going behind his back to her ex again?
Yeah, but I'm still upset about it. There's no reason for her to go to her ex.
Why would he give it to her unless he's getting something out of it?
That's an excellent question, Sam. It's a question we've all had on our minds too. Why on earth did Dane give Jasmine that money? Jasmine claims that she and Dane are no more than friends, but that sure is a heck of a lot of money to just gift someone you're not very, very close with. Only Jasmine doesn't seem to see it that way. She maintains that her and Dane's relationship is strictly platonic.
He has someone in his life and he loves this person. He's a person with strong values
Right,
and morals.
but this is your ex who you had a relationship
But
with. And
I don't see him like an ex-boyfriend.
Okay, so Dane's seeing someone now. Perhaps that explains why he's been MIA this whole season. But I can't get my head around the fact that just because Jasmine claims she doesn't see Dane that way, that doesn't change the fact that he is her ex. They do have a past that makes Gino very uncomfortable, a past that she's been all too happy to rub in Gino's face. So why is she pleading ignorant? Why does she have such difficulty in understanding that continuing whatever it is she has going on with Dane, friendship or otherwise, is crossing a line and being extremely disrespectful to her partner? Surely that concept isn't that difficult to comprehend.
You talk about him as your ex as if there's nothing there, as if there's nothing for Gino to worry about.
Nothing.
But I've heard you, when being mad at Gino, say some very hurtful things.
I hate that I have to agree with Rob, of all people, but he is absolutely right. Whenever their fights get out of control, whenever Jasmine really wants to hurt Gino, she'll always inevitably raise how great sex was with Dane compared to Gino. So that being the case, how can she now turn around and claim that there's nothing for Gino to worry about?
And I said it because I'm a bitch and I know what is gonna trigger him and make him pissed.
But you have to live with the consequences of that. So if you
I
have this
get
person...
it. I know, and I regret it.
Acknowledging that you know you do these things doesn't make it okay, Jasmine. She's literally saying, she's admitting she takes advantage of her knowledge of Gino's insecurities to make him feel even worse about them. That's textbook emotional abuse. It's an incredibly toxic trait. It's not what you do to someone you supposedly love. So we have to ask, if she knows, if she understands that this is a trait of hers, why isn't she doing something about it?
And this is my problem, that I have anger management issues.
And those hurtful words that you just mentioned that she does say, that affects my intimacy with her.
Yeah,
that
I have
affects
paid
me
the
wanting to be
consequences.
intimate with.
Jasmine's literally hearing her husband say to her that the words that she uses cut him so deeply that it's affecting their sex life. It's affecting the one thing she seems to value more than money. But instead of taking a second to really internalize what Gino's saying, instead of acknowledging her role in this, she's too busy trying to make herself seem the victim. She's trying to make it seem as though Gino's weaponizing sex. He's withdrawing sex from her to somehow punish her.
And he said, like, say whatever you want. I could have sex with my exes, but I can't with you.
No, she always starts stuff with me.
Now, we have seen some of what Jasmine's talking about here with our own eyes. We have seen Gino give back as good as he gets. But I'd argue it's precisely that. He's giving it back. Gino isn't the one that initiates the whole ex talk. It's always Jasmine who starts a fight, screams obscene things at Gino, and then Gino tries to level the playing field by feebly saying something stupid back at her. So, is there really any truth to anything he says in the heat of the moment?
Was sex with your ex easier than it is with Jasmine?
I know.
No, not really, no.
Now, I've had to trim that clip down slightly, but believe me, there was a very, very long pause in Gino's answer there. It took him an awfully long time, an incriminatingly long time, to say no. I have a feeling that Gino answered what he knew Jasmine wanted to hear, but it may not necessarily be the truth. But one thing is for sure. Gino and Jasmine's intimacy isn't at the level that either of them want it to be.
A lot of the hurtful things that she does say to me, it affects our intimacy, affects our relationship.
Yeah, but don't come here like I said those things just because I want to be a bitch. You trigger me.
Jasmine, you just admitted that you said those things because you were a bitch. Like, literally just a few minutes ago.
And I said it because I'm a bitch.
This just shows what a no-win situation it is trying to argue with Jasmine. Now, Sean seems to admit defeat when it comes to talking about their sex lives, so she moves on to the infamous lip gloss incident.
What the are you talking about? This is no girlfriend or anything like that.
Who is this?
I don't know.
If he doesn't know who it is, like how many women are in this
Yeah,
car?
but don't forget, I had that truck 6.5 years before I met Jasmine.
Gino tries to explain that he'd been on dates in that car, he'd had colleagues in that car, and frankly, it could have been anyone's. Now, the obvious question that raises is Gino admitting that he hasn't cleaned the inside of his car for 6 or 7 years? But then I remember the state of his toilet, the state of his house when Jasmine first moved in. 6 or 7 years without cleaning might be true in this case, and it seems like the majority of the cast also believe Gino.
That's actually happened to me before with Rob. He had a lipstick and he brought it to me from his house. He was like, "Oh, you left your lipstick at my house," and it wasn't mine. And
Sophie, I'd argue that's probably not the best example to give to defend Gino, because doesn't Rob have a history of being unfaithful? Yeah, but the thing is, seeing as we're never going to know the answer to whose lip gloss it was, there's no point harping on about this. So let's move on to the other event that caused the most drama this season, Gino's secret bachelor party.
So this is the thing. You all saw my bachelor party. There were no strippers. I went out with my friends. We were having fun. We were dancing. There were no strippers.
Now, would Jasmine have been okay with Gino going to a strip club if he'd been honest about it? Well, knowing her insecurity issues, I'd say probably not. But that still doesn't make it okay that Gino hid it from her. The thing is though, Gino is ready to argue his point. He's ready to point out that Jasmine has no right to act holier than thou.
But you had a stripper the first time I went to Panama that was on top of you, and you let him go on
It
top of
was the divorce party,
I
and
found
I
out
didn't enter a strip club.
And she's off. Somehow, Gino has triggered Jasmine here. It's always Gino's fault. How dare he point out the truth? Now, Gino points out that this reaction, this is exactly the behaviour that makes it hard for him to be intimate with Jasmine. And you've got to say, it's very difficult to blame him for that. I mean, Clayton certainly understands where Gino's coming from.
She should have used that $2,000 on,
It's so frustrating.
what do you call it? Anger management classes.
Shut up. Shut the up.
That was a good burn from Clayton, I'll give him that. So despite how upset Jasmine is, and despite how understandable it is that to avoid this exact type of confrontation, Gino would lie about his bachelor party, the truth is, at the end of the day, he shouldn't have kept it a secret. Now, Sean reveals that Gino hasn't told Jasmine the whole story yet. And this is when she goes on to play footage that Jasmine has never seen before.
You sure you want to get married?
Oh boy. Now, for the sake of not getting this video taken down, I've got to be very careful about what I can show. But let's just say, Gino seemed to be having the time of his life. And as Jasmine watches this, she begins to cry. Honestly, it isn't nice for anyone to watch their partner doing that with another person. I can understand her emotions. Like, even the other cast members seem to be a bit shocked at the clips. Only what they don't know is it's about to get a whole lot worse. Because it's at this point that Gino gets pulled on stage for an even more explicit dance.
Do you see what's happening over here? Jasmine's losing her Jack, Gino's smiling.
Yeah, it's definitely getting harder and harder to defend Gino, but could he possibly be smiling because he's super uncomfortable with what's being shown? Like, this is certainly the kind of footage you wouldn't want the world to see. It is very embarrassing, and it's making everyone very uncomfortable.
Just got it. I don't want to see it, John. Please take it off.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Looks like a fun night, Gino.
Now, Gino stands firm. He stands by the fact that this was a bachelor party. It was always likely to get a bit wild, unless you're Clayton, of course. Now, some of the cast are on his side, but it's much harder to be on his side when Jasmine is bawling her eyes out sat next to him. And in a shocking and highly unnecessary twist, Sean invites one of the dancers from that evening to join the tell-all.
He was very awkward. He seemed very uninterested in being there, just kind of wanted to hang with his family and have a good time in a good environment.
Yes, I didn't sit there. I wasn't in the VIP room.
This, by the 90-day production crew, is harsh. They're determined to push Jasmine's buttons, aren't they? But what Daisy just said is a good sign, right? I mean, it's no surprise that Gino was awkward. He's literally the most awkward man ever. Only, the thing is, what Daisy says about Gino being uninterested doesn't quite line up with how excited he looked in the clips. He looked very interested in being there, so it's difficult to know what the truth is. Except, at this point, it doesn't really matter, because the damage has already been done.
Those women were half naked and you were hugging her with her chest. I would have never gotten married to you if I have seen this before the wedding.
Jasmine claims she asked him so many times what he did at the strip club to give him the chance to be honest, but it isn't even about honesty anymore. This comes back to her insecurity. You see, it soon becomes much more clear why she's reacting the way she is, why she's become so hysterical.
You never look at me that way. You never made me feel desire. You never compliment me that way. Okay, it's not the stripper.
Yeah, this was never really about the stripper. Jasmine can't get over the fact that her and Gino's sex life is failing, yet he's out there appreciating other women. That hurts her. It hurts her a lot. And when you consider the fact that Gino's also being vocal about how she can change her body, get a bigger butt to make him like her more, we get a better insight into how badly this is affecting her self-esteem.
I'm not gonna stay here. I never walk away from this scenario, but I cannot take it. I just can't.
Gino watches her walk away like a man who's just too tired for any more of this drama. He repeats that he did nothing wrong, she's just overreacting, but he doesn't seem to care why. So is this just a man who's been worn down by all of Jasmine's drama? Or does Gino just not care anymore because he's convinced he's right? Well, as Jasmine goes running off, it's left to Nikki to run after her.
Nikki.
It's definitely not pretty, But this conversation was long overdue. Both Jasmine and Gino have been sitting on this conversation. They've been bottling up their emotions, and it's now finally bubbled over. But at the beginning of the tell-all, Jasmine felt that Gino was hiding something. Is this what that was? Or will there be even more terrible secrets next week?